Hey, this is Randy, Mountain Air Farms again. This is another little short video. I had some people comment on my base, how I made it, and the dimensions of it. Because they'll send you a blueprint, but they really don't tell you, they don't give you the exact inside dimensions. So, I just kind of Googled it and figured out how to do it. And it was right. So, but I had a friend of mine cut my 2x6s, or 6x6s. I cut down a poplar and took it over to him. He's got a sawmill, and he cut them 20 foot long. I wanted to go 20 foot long because it comes with 12.5, but I want to add one more section, so I can cut 16.5, 16 foot 5-inch boards. But I had some old telephone poles, cut them up, put them in the ground, sunk them in about 2 foot, concreted them, and then I just run a lot of, you want to run a lot of braces because you do not want that base moving around because it's got a lot of weight sitting on it when you put a big oak log or something on it. But the 6x6s are 20 foot long, and the inside dimensions on the 2x6s, or the 6x6s, I'm sorry, is 30.5 inches. The reason you want it at least 30.5 inches, your log holders, that way when you lower them down, and that's another reason I build it up off the ground, because if you just put these on the ground, like a lot of people just putting 4x4s down and then putting their logs on top of them, but when you get down so far where you're putting camp, that won't drop down, it hits the ground. You got to take it all the way out at the last cut, and you can just drop it down on here. But that's just the dimensions there, and it's the sawmill on the low end is about 19 inches off the ground. I mean, if you're taller, you can put it taller, or however you wanted to do. You could adjust that out however you wanted to. That was a good, comfortable position. When you're up, when you're cutting a big log like it's up right there, and you're cutting the first slab off, it gets kind of hard to push because you're so high, it's so high and I'm so short. But that's pretty much the sawmill. That's how I built the thing. The post, I set them. I thought I was going to set them at every joint, but it really don't matter if you got a 6x6. I put 4 on each side. These are about 6 foot apart. Okay. Just enough to carry the weight, because there is a lot. The sawmill's not that heavy, but when you start putting a big log on there, it gets heavy, and you don't want nothing to warp or sag down, or you want a good solid base.
Okay, and you've built this to where you can add one more section?
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I put it 20 foot long 6x6s. That way you can add one more section. Each section, if you buy a section, each section is 5 foot. So. Okay. I've got enough for one more section. That way I can get 16 foot 5-inch logs.
Okay. So if they were looking at buying one, they might want to, and they know they're going to be cutting longer logs, they may want to buy an additional section?
Well, I was talking to the guy at Woodmizer. He said if you're going to buy it now, because the shipping's so much just on one little section. And I didn't. Right at the moment, I didn't have the money, so I've got to go back and get me a section because it's paying for itself, the sawmill.
Well, and for us, I mean, Woodmizer, they're what, 3 hours away?
Yeah, so 3 hours away. We'll make a day trip out of it and go pick it up. But if you want the 16, depending on where you live at from Woodmizer, you might want to go ahead and get your other stuff. Most of my stuff is 12.5, but like if you're, I don't know, if you're spanning like a garage or something, 16 foot would be better. I mean, that way you get out there a little bit farther. And if you're putting up wood fence, you got a 16 foot, you can cover 2 8-foot sections instead of cutting 8-footers and you're just putting them in.
Okay.
So, that's pretty much what it is. That's how I set mine up. Just make sure the base is level. You can shim it up, make it level if everything's just not exactly right. But just make sure the base is level and make sure you put them big lag bolts in there and everything's tight.
Okay, and those lag bolts are the big 8-inch lag bolts?
Yeah, that's the big 8-inch lag bolts. shouldn't never go nowhere.
Okay.
It's
Any regrets that you had that you wish you had done different?
no, I'm happy with my base. Everything's worked out real good on it. There's sawdust gets in here, but I've had it for 2 or 3 months now. And there's just a little bit of sawdust. You just have to get in there and shovel it out. It's not that much.
Okay.
The discharge is kind of pain in the butt. I wish they'd make a hose to go, something to extend that out there a little bit farther.
And the discharge is this pile up of sawdust that's blowing out of that side chute.
I mean, I take the tractor with the bucket on it and drag it back, and she uses it in the garden and the chicken pen and stuff like that. But you will have a lot of sawdust and a lot of slabs.
Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much the base. Just make sure and get them at 35 inches apart. Or 20, never mind.
30.
I just lied to you. 30 inches apart.
30 inches.
30 inches apart, so that way your things will slide down.
Right, so...
And your flanges, when you put it together, your flanges go out. So if you put it 30 inches apart, if you got a 6x6 base, you still got plenty of room over on the sides to mount, to screw your bolts in, your legs in.
Yeah, this side here is a little bit easier to see. There's still a good 2 inches on either side that is adjustable, or that was adjustable, not now, but was.
Yeah, I never had it on the ground. I built the base before the sawmill ever came. They kept telling me I got anxious, and it was like 18 weeks out, and I built the base probably at 10 weeks, and then kept calling them every week after that saying, "Where's my sawmill? What's the chances of getting it early?" But it came. It came about 2 weeks earlier than what they said it would.
Well, and the one thing I can stress is when you're building that base, lay it out.
Make sure everything's square and level.
Make sure everything is squared up. Don't, you know, the base is like a foundation of a house. You know, you want that base to be perfect because, you know, everything is sitting on it. So.
Jack.
Well, as always, remember, we love you. God loves you. Y'all have a great day.